Along the Nile's fertile banks, a civilization flourished for 3,000 years. Their immense riches, stunning art, and grand structures remained unmatched for ages. Ancient Egypt wasn't a typical empire like Rome, Spain, or Britain. Yet, as a civilization, its accomplishments are nearly beyond comparison. Ancient Egypt's history is divided into periods called dynasties, signifying ruling families. These are grouped into the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms with intermediate eras between them. Those intermediate times saw central authority crumble, leading Egyptian culture into chaos. The second intermediate period marked Egypt's descent into disarray and crisis. A new foreign group, the Hyksos, seized control of northern Egypt, establishing their rule. Simultaneously, a people called the Nubians conquered southern Egypt. The militarily advanced Hyksos solidified their grip, introducing key technological changes. These included the horse and chariot, bronze smelting, advanced bows, and better fortifications. These innovations would prove crucial for Egypt's future territorial growth. Egyptian pharaohs waged war against the Hyksos, finally expelling them under Akhmos. Akhmos founded the 18th dynasty in Thebes, initiating Egypt's imperial rise in the Bronze Age. His son, Amenhotep, succeeded him and dedicated much of his life to new kingdom developments. He significantly promoted the cult of the god Ammonius with wealth and war spoils. Later pharaohs continued this, elevating Ammonius to Egypt's national god. Ammonius eventually merged with Ra, the sun god, becoming the supreme deity Ammonius Ra. Religion was central to Egyptian society, with profound changes during the New Kingdom impacting most people. This excluded peasants and slaves, however. A significant New Kingdom innovation was the introduction of the Book of the Dead. This scroll contained spells to guide the deceased through their journey to the afterlife. Wealthy individuals like scribes or priests could now hope for the afterlife, not just pharaohs. For many Egyptians, the afterlife was seen as a continuation of earthly life. They were buried with their possessions, treasured artifacts, and valuables. The purpose of tombs was to safeguard a mummified body. Tomb walls were adorned with spells and hieroglyphs to aid the pharaoh's peaceful passage. While Old and Middle Kingdom pharaohs rested in pyramids, the New Kingdom favored elaborate tombs carved into cliffs. These impressive tombs are known as the Valley of the Kings. Ancient Egyptian artisans also channeled their creativity into magnificent temples. Structures like the temples at Luxor were built on a massive scale. They served as vital political and religious centers for the kingdom. Egypt's imperial expansion began with Pharaoh Thutmose I. He adopted a new approach to leadership, utilizing Egypt's advanced technology to confront foes and extend its reach. After numerous military campaigns against the Nubian kingdom of Kush, he pushed further into the Levant. The military was arguably the most crucial element of the new kingdom. At the forefront of the army stood the pharaoh, actively participating in every campaign. He was expected to be an exceptional warrior and commander. Furthermore, he needed to be skilled as a charioteer and archer. Every pharaoh received rigorous military training at Memphis. They learned to fight like gods with bows, swords, shields, and axes. The New Kingdom military pioneered the development of a professional standing army. It became highly specialized, with divisions for chariots, infantry, intelligence, and naval units. The army no longer relied solely on conscription. Instead, it was staffed by well-trained professional warriors. The availability of bronze-meant soldiers were equipped with weapons from royal armories. Although Egypt supplied some copper, it heavily depended on imported tin and iron for bronze. Despite this, Egypt was the wealthiest nation on earth at the time. Their arsenal included horses, chariots, composite bows, axes, spears, and new swords like the Khepesh. The Khepesh was significantly more effective than the preceding mace weapon. The core of the army was the elite chariot corps, the most skilled soldiers. A charioteer was a lifelong military commitment, eventually forming their own distinguished class. Under Thutmose III, ancient Egypt achieved its greatest territorial extent and peak of power. After capturing Megiddo, Thutmose controlled all of northern Canaan. Syrian princes were compelled to pay tribute and send their sons as hostages. His temple at Karnak also records tribute from Assyrian, Babylonian, and Hittite kings. However, before Thutmose III, Pharaoh Hatshepsut expanded the empire through trade, not conquest. While rare for a woman to rule, it wasn't unprecedented, as women held considerable status then. Her ascent to power occurred during a period of peace and stability. She successfully led a sea expedition to the land of Punt, likely on northeast Africa's coast. There, they engaged in trade with the local inhabitants. Her predecessor's achievements in Nubia had also brought immense wealth to Egypt. This wealth enabled her to undertake vast construction projects. Her most famous is the temple at Luxor, dedicated to honoring Ammonius' glory. Hatshepsut restored many temples and structures of her predecessors. She also erected significant monuments at Karnak, including a series of obelisks. Hatshepsut's reign was notably long and prosperous, so much so that her legacy was nearly erased by those who followed. Her statues and all references to her name on hieroglyphs were destroyed roughly 20 years after her rule. Egyptologists still debate who was responsible and why they sought this destruction. Another significant New Kingdom pharaoh was Akhenaten. He attempted to shift Egyptian religion from polytheism to monotheism, worshipping a single god. The god he promoted was the Aten, but this change wasn't widely accepted. Similar to Hatshepsut, his monuments were dismantled after his death. His statues were destroyed, and his name erased from history. This continued until Egyptologists discovered his capital city, known today as Amarna. His son, Tutankhaten, abandoned the worship of Aten and changed his name to Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun's reign was brief but became famous because his tomb was largely undisturbed. It was discovered by eager 20th century British archaeologists. Under Seti I, Egypt largely maintained its territories in the Levant. However, they failed to hold a fortified garrison at Kadesh, which fell to the Hittites. The Hittites were a powerful empire in Anatolia, excelling in military strategy and iron weaponry. Ramesses II led numerous campaigns into the Levant, clashing with the Hittites at the Battle of Kadesh. The battle's outcome is unclear, likely not a decisive victory for either side. However, a peace treaty was eventually implemented. His Levantine campaigns brought immense wealth to Egypt through tribute from defeated peoples. Like his predecessors, Ramesses constructed numerous temples, monuments, and even cities. One notable city was Piramis. A temple at Abu Simbel was built to represent Ramesses not just as pharaoh, but as a deity. It's believed Ramesses lived into his 90s and fathered over 88 children. He outlived some of his offspring. After ruling for 30 years, he joined the ranks of Egypt's longest-reigning rulers. He secured peace, defended Egypt's borders, and erected grand monuments across the empire. This earned him the title Ramesses the Great. One of the last truly prominent pharaohs was Ramesses III. He faced major assaults from two distinct groups of invaders. The first wave came from the mysterious, largely unknown Sea Peoples. This conflict is depicted in the wars at Medinet Habu, showing the Egyptian campaign. The attempted Sea People invasion wasn't Ramesses' only challenge. With famine and illness, the New Kingdom faced stagnation, leading to a gradual decline from both internal and outside pressures. The high priest's ascent to prominence diminished the pharaoh's authority, allowing foreign leaders to seize control of his lands. Egypt eventually fell under the dominion of the Nubians, Assyrians, Persians, and later Alexander the Great. Following his passing, the Ptolemy dynasty was established, marking the final royal line. Ultimately, after Queen Cleopatra's demise, the Romans annexed the territory into their vast empire. Its distinctive position beside the fertile Nile River provided the secluded Egyptians with security and prosperity for millennia. The fertile banks of the Nile, a unique geographical feature, enabled the isolated Egyptians to prosper and remain safe for thousands of years. Protected by surrounding deserts, they lived in safety for millennia. Egypt showed little inclination towards exploration, expansion, or governing vast populations. However, their military ventures into the Levant introduced them to other major powers, and their vulnerability led to conquest. When they were vulnerable, they were conquered by those empires. Considering its antiquity, Egypt might not have been the most extensive empire, but its character was undeniably distinctive.